Hey guys, Joe Madden here, the Joe Madden Sports Podcast. I'm joined this morning by Kevin Kurz, hockey writer for The Athletic out of New York City. Kevin, how's the morning treating you?
Pretty good so far. Got through the hot and humid weekend. First taste of summer here, but it's a little bit better now.
That must be nice to hear. I know you guys get some pretty cold winters there in New York.
Yeah, I'm getting used to it after I spent 10 years in California, so I'm adjusting back to being on the East Coast a little bit.
Nice. So I want to hear about how you got in the business, how you ended up
Mhm.
writing and reporting on hockey, Kevin.
I took a little bit of a different path. I started out in the Philadelphia Flyers PR department, and 2000, when was my first year there? 2003-04 was my first season working in the NHL. And I was in PR, and I did that through 2009, 2010. And throughout the course of my time there was when websites and digital media and stuff was becoming more important. So um, as a journalism major, I always wanted to sort of get into the media side. So that was sort of my first introduction was essentially covering the team for a team website, which is really common now, but it wasn't so common when we started doing that in Philadelphia. And I left there in 2010, and I was transferred to Comcast Sportsnet, and I did a year at their corporate office, but I missed being in hockey, so they transferred me out to Bay Area, where I covered the Sharks for 10 years as the beat writer there. But there's a lot of TV, obviously working for a TV station, but it was still mostly written content was my primary responsibility.
What do you enjoy most about this industry then?
Um, you know what? It's a lot of good people in hockey, and that's not just. I know you hear that a lot. That's really not a cliche. I mean, I think the athletes are the most enjoyable guys to cover because most of them are pretty down to earth, and most of them understand what the job entails. And I like the schedule too because it's you're busy during the winter months, and summer it kind of settles down a little bit. But I just the sport of hockey has always been something I've been drawn to. So, there's so many things about it that I still enjoy, just the day-to-day aspect of it and the travel but again, it's still it's mostly the people involved and the athletes and a lot of my work colleagues, especially at the Athletic, are people that I've been friends with for a long time. So it's nice. It was nice, especially this year, to get back on the road a little bit and get back to a little bit of normalcy and just to see so many good people that hadn't seen in 2 years.
Yeah, absolutely. With everything getting kind of shut down there for a while, it definitely is good to get back to normal. Great to see the fans in the stands, all the reporters there as well. Let's
Mhm.
talk some playoff hockey. What were your
Okay.
takeaways and thoughts on the games yesterday, Kevin? We had the Rangers come out and get that win over the Canes.
Mhm.
Canes still lead the series 2-1 in this one. What did you think of that game?
Yeah, I don't know. It hasn't been the most exciting series to watch. As opposed to the later game last night, I think the Calgary Edmonton series has probably been the most entertaining in the second round so far. But um, the Hurricanes obviously are so structured defensively, and they're so strong defensively. And I think yesterday's game was really the first that we saw Igor Shesterkin kind of steal it for the Rangers,
Yeah.
especially in the early going. And you kind of figured that would happen in at least one game of this series. And I feel like as the series moves along, at some point it's going to open up a little bit more, whether it's a fatigue factor or teams just want to take a little bit, maybe take some more chances. So we'll see if that happens. I don't think every game in the series is going to end up being 2-1, 1-0. It'll probably be low scoring, but we'll see how it moves along. Carolina, obviously, they're such a good defensive team, and the Rangers up front. 5-on-5 was a problem for them throughout most of the regular season, and I think it's carried into this playoff round a little bit. But it should be a long series, and I would expect that it'll go at least 6 games.
Yeah, I'm looking at the same there. Now, were you shocked that Edmonton was completely able to dominate the puck last night against the Calgary Flames? My Calgary Flames, I'm a fan. They looked atrocious last night. The shots on goal weren't coming. They couldn't get skating, any puck movement going. What did you think
Yeah,
of that game?
I mean, they just have no answer for Connor McDavid, and Vander Kane also has been, obviously last night he had the natural hat trick, but he's a guy, I covered him in San Jose for a few years through the good times and then through the bad times, when they basically cut ties with them. And he's a motivated player right now playing for his next contract. And he's a guy that needs another big contract, just for everything that's going on in his life. So he's a motivated guy. McDavid, obviously, nothing else has to be said about how he's playing right now. I still like the Flames. I still think this series is destined to go 7, because you look at Edmonton, they still had a tough time getting by the Kings. I mean, they were down in that series 3-2. And I think, consistency isn't really their strong suit. So I think Calgary comes back and takes game 4. But they're going to have to find a way to slow down Connor McDavid in that line, because this guy's just on a whole different level right now.
Yeah, absolutely. The speed of the game last night was crazy, especially in that first period. Connor McDavid just doing whatever he wanted on the ice, but it was sad to see as a Flames fan, but definitely was still a very good game to watch. Let's move into tonight's games. We have the Florida Panthers taking on the Tampa Bay Lightning tonight. Are the Florida Panthers done here, Kevin?
Well, I don't think they're going to win the series. Down 3-0 here. I wouldn't be surprised if they take a game, though, because you look at game 3, and I think Tampa Bay they just seemed like they had a little bit of an extra gear in their step just to take a stranglehold on the series. And can they play like that again against what is still a good Florida team? I tend to think Florida is going to win tonight, and it's interesting. They're actually a little bit of an underdog, when obviously they started out as a pretty big favorite when the series began. And, I think at some point they're going to find a way to put the puck in the net. They were just such a dynamic offensive team throughout the course of the season, and it hasn't happened in the playoffs. So do I think they're going to win the series? No, I don't think they're going to be just the 5th team to erase a 3-0 hole, but I do think they're going to find a way to at least extend this another game.
Yeah, a team with their back against the walls is definitely scary in this situation. Would you look for them, if they're to win this game, for it to be a higher scoring game?
Well, it's going to have to be. They're only scoring 1 or 2 goals a night here, and when they, were the only team in the regular season to average over 4 per game, which was an insane number. But Tampa is just. They have the championship pedigree. They look like they've reached another level. Guys like Vasilevsky, Victor Hedman, and Stamkos, and they're doing all this without Braden Point, which is surprising because there are times where he's their best player. So I think it'll have to be high scoring, and it's going to have to be high scoring from Florida's end if they're going to extend this, because those were the games that they tended to play in the regular season and had success with.
Yeah, absolutely. Finding a way past Vasilevsky tonight is going to be a tricky deal, but we know teams have been able to score on him. So hopefully the Panthers can pull it off and extend this series. It would be good to see a couple more games there. But moving on to the next game, we have the Colorado Avalanche taking on the St. Louis Blues. We know Binghamton's out. Do the Blues have any chance with Husso in goal tonight?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, St. Louis, much like Tampa Bay, this is still a core group that did win a Stanley Cup a couple of years ago in 2019. Other than Alex Pietrangelo, I think that core is still there. And I think they're going to come in a little bit pissed off after what happened in the last game with Kadri running Binnington and forcing him from the series. And this is a team that they can obviously play with an edge. That's how they won a Stanley Cup. That's a big reason they won a Stanley Cup. And they're not as talented as Colorado. I think everybody knows that. I think they probably know that. But they're a team that is not going to get pushed around. And so, in this game, I would tend to think that the first 10 minutes will be key. I really think St. Louis is going to come out pretty hard and try to make a statement physically first, and maybe try to push Colorado out of the game. That's a lot easier said than done. But I think this is going to be an entertaining game tonight, because this is one of these series where the emotions are starting to ramp up and the hatred is starting to ramp up. And that's what we love about playoff hockey. And we didn't see it as much in the first round, but we're starting to see it in some of these second round series.
Yeah, I can definitely see the team really stepping up and rallying behind Husso tonight. Husso, when he came into the last game, he was cold. He didn't expect to come into that game. So I don't see the Avs really lighting up the net as they did on him in the last game. But when we look at a couple of things, he's given up he gave up those 4 goals in those 23 shots. I don't see that happening again tonight. I do think he has a stronger performance. Are you looking anything at the total in this one? We got a total of 6.5, Kevin.
Yeah, I don't know about that. I would tend. Last time I saw it was St. Louis was plus 135, so I think that might be taking a shot, and that might be worth taking a shot. It's tough to get bet against Colorado though, because this team is just top to bottom, just so strong, so deep. They will be missing Sam Girard though, and Jack Johnson jumps in there, and he's that's not as much of a strong. He's not as much of a strong defenseman as Girard is. So maybe that has a little bit of an outcome, but I think St. Louis is going to come out hard, and if they can get 1 or 2 early, it could be, they could have some success that way.
Well, I would love to see it. I want this one to go deep as well. Kevin, I've kept you long enough today. Can you let everyone know where to find you and everything that you've got going on?
Yeah, I'm just at Twitter at Kurz NHL, and on theathletic.com.
Okay, Kevin, thank you so much for joining me today, you guys. I will be back later with another Joe Madden Sports podcast. Kevin, all the best in everything that you have going on, and we'll see you again shortly.
Okay, thanks a lot.
Thank you.